Krishna, everyone. So we're here in, what is it, Salhurst?
Sawston.
Sawston. Sawston, which is very close to?
Cambridge.
Yay! Beautiful Cambridge, and you can see this beautiful, lovely garden and the beautiful bluebells. It's that time of year, right?
It is.
Wonderful time. And we're here reading the Bhagavatam with the Rakke family here in Cambridge, our very lovely and dear friends. So this is the family minus one, who we hope will join us soon.
Shortly.
We'll
know very clearly when she's here.
We'll know when she arrives, that's right. So we're just here to read Bhagavatam, and I just want to say thank you very much. They've been hosting me so nicely here. We had a beautiful time yesterday, wonderful prasadam, wonderful sangha. We had kirtan this morning, and now we're reading Bhagavatam, and it's just uplifting and inspiring. So
Haribol.
I'm very grateful to be here with you. So, where are we reading from? Would you like to?
From Canto 4, Chapter 17, Maharaj Prithu becomes angry at the earth.
Yay, so we're starting a new chapter. Okay.
Text 1.
We do the invocation also. Sorry.
Yeah.
We can do it all together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 1. The great sage Maitreya continued. In this way, the reciters who were glorifying Maharaj Prithu readily described his qualities and chivalrous activities. At the end, Maharaj Prithu offered them various presentations with all due respect and worshipped them adequately. King Prithu, thus satisfied, and offered all respect to all the leaders of the Brahmanas and other castes, to his servants, to his ministers, and to the priests, citizens, general countrymen, people from other communities, admirers and others, and thus they all became happy. Vidura inquired from the great sage Maitreya, "My dear Brahmana, since Mother Earth can appear in different shapes, why did she take the shape of a cow? And when King Prithu milked her, he became the calf. And what was the milking pot?" The surface.
Who became the calf?
Who became the calf? Yes. And what was the milking pot? Text 4. The surface of the earth is by nature low in some places and high in others. How did King Prithu level the surface of the earth? And why did the king of heaven Indra steal the horse meant for the sacrifice? Text 5. The great saintly king, Maharaj Prithu, received knowledge from Sanat Kumar, who was the greatest Vedic scholar. After receiving knowledge to be applied practically in his life, how did the saintly king attain his desired destination? Shall I pass that on?
Yeah, if you want to read. Any thoughts so far? Anything that stood out?
Can we remind ourselves of what has happened up until this point?
Perfect. So a little bit of background is that before King Prithu came on the scene, there was another king, King Vena. Yeah, so King Vena was this horrible personality who was doing all kinds of abominable things. But he was put into position because his father left the kingdom, because Vena was such a bad son that he actually just left. He was the king and he left. But as soon as he left, they didn't want to put Vena in place because he was so bad. But then the rogues and the thieves became so bad that they put the king in place to protect everyone from the rogues. And he was so heavy with the rogues that they all went away. But then he started to be horrible to the citizens in general. And the Brahmanas tried to correct him in a very nice way. They went about it in such a polite and nice way. They glorified him, but then they said, you'll be more successful if you actually appreciate the Brahmanas and do things in it nice. And he's like, who are you to instruct me? I'm God. Your scripture says the king embodies God, so you should worship me. And then they said, okay, we've kind of had enough then. So they killed him. They chanted some mantras and killed him, which is not common for the Brahmins to do, so it must have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
His wife, kind of preserved Vena, and not his wife, his mother preserved him with some special herbs and mantras. And then a year later, the rogues and thieves started to come again, so they said, we need a king. So they basically kind of did some magic with his body, and King Prithu was born from his thighs, I believe. And so Prithu appeared. As soon as he appeared, all the devatas appeared. They began offering him all sorts of different weapons, gifts. And then the bards came, and the bards began to sing his praises and foretell all the things that he would do in the future. So like that. And so now they have finished glorifying him, and now his pastimes are kind of about to begin. Sort of. And you have Vidura and obviously Maitreya, who are having the original conversation, not original conversation, they're having the conversation. And so Vidura is inquiring from Maitreya,
Okay.
I think we're perfect.
Yes. I was just having a question.
Did you read the translation?
Yes.
Do you want to read? In a minute, okay. There are 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, or systems.
I would read just a little bit louder, just in case.
There are 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, or systems, of disciplic succession. One Sampradaya comes from Lord Brahma, one from the goddess of fortune, one from the Kumaras, headed by Sanat Kumara, and one from Lord Shiva. These 4 systems of disciplic successions are still going on, as King Prithu has illustrated. One who is serious about receiving transcendental Vedic knowledge must accept the Guru or spiritual master in one of these 4 disciplic successions. It is said that unless one accepts a mantra from one of these sampradayas, the so-called mantra will not act in Kali Yuga. Many sampradayas have sprung up without authority, and they are misleading the people by giving unauthorized mantras.
Yeah.
The rascals of these so-called sampradayas do not observe the Vedic rules and regulation. Although they are addicted to all kinds of sinful activities, they still offer the people mantras and thus mislead them. Intelligent persons, however, know that such mantras will never be successful, and as such, they never patronize such upstart spiritual groups.
Bless you.
People should be very careful of these nonsensical sampradayas. To get some facilities for sense gratification, unfortunate people in this age receive mantras from these so-called sampradayas. Prithu Maharaj, however, showed by his example that one should receive knowledge from a bona fide sampradaya. Therefore, Maharaj Prithu accepted Sanat Kumara as his spiritual master. That was eventful.
Ever a dull moment when you read the Bhagavatam?
Okay. Yeah, it's a great idea, but maybe in a minute. I'll call you when it's ready, when I'm ready.
I was waiting to see if he had him, because he read and
there
he
is
had such a beautiful
there is a thought there, but I am not sure. I am just trying to. I am tempted
I was wondering
to.
if that was.
There is something. There's trying to figure out
what do you open up?
whether it's intelligent or not. We'll discover later, right? So no, I was thinking just of summarizing it in saying, if you're serious, you want to have a spiritual master who's going to give you a mantra and bring you on the path of self-realization. However, you need to be careful about who you accept.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be one way of looking at it?
That's definitely, well, I mean, that's exactly what's being said here. You have to be careful of those who are not in the sampradaya and those who may have a cheating propensity. And I think maybe they're, maybe there may be a difference between someone who has an intentional cheating, manipulative propensity and someone who's maybe, let's say, in coming in line of disciplic succession in the Sampradaya and maybe has some challenges or difficulties. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. But either way, yeah, of course we have to choose.
We're still dealing with humans.
Discreetly, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Any thoughts from anyone? Oh no! Oh my dear Lord! Look at that. It's a bee.
It's friendly.
Stay
With
still.
lots
Stay still.
of like full pollen bags.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we're reading further?
Okay. How about that?
Oh wow, look.
Oh, I can see
Ooh,
the
just don't
pollen.
touch him because it'd be stinky.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to
We're
do
gonna
that
ask you to
still.
go. Ready? Go.
Yeah.
I think he liked you.
He's come back again.
I think he liked you, Nitai.
Must be the maple syrup.
Must be. Would anyone else like to read? Or did you have any comments on that so far?
No, not so far.
Okay.
It's your turn to read.
Okay. Texts 6 through 7. Translation. Prithu Maharaj was a powerful incarnation of Lord Krishna's potencies. Subsequently, any narration concerning his activities is surely very pleasing to hear, and it produces all good fortune. Yay. As far as I am concerned, I am always your devotee, as well as a devotee of the Lord, who is known as Adhoksaja. Please therefore narrate all the stories of King Prithu, who in the form of the son of King Vena milked the cow-shaped earth. So, I really like when reading, of course there's a purport, and maybe we'll get one of you to read that, but I really like trying to get into, because this is Vidura speaking to Maitreya, and what I get from that is just his eagerness to hear the Bhagavatam. So as well as saying, of course this is King Prithu, and he's a Shakti-Vesh avatar, and if you read about him, then all good fortune comes. So please just tell us all his pastimes, especially that one about how he milked how he milked the cow-shaped earth, So I just think it's really nice to be with the flow of the narrative, and sometimes it's easy to lose track of where you're at between the purports and the storyline, Would one of you like to read the first paragraph of that purport?
Lord Krishna is also known as Avatari, which means one from whom all the incarnations emanate. In Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Lord Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Thus, Lord Krishna is the origin of everyone's appearance. As far as this material world is concerned, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva are all emanations from Krishna. These three incarnations of Krishna are called Guna avatars. The material world is governed by three material modes of nature, and Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva respectively take charge of the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Maharaj Prithu is also an incarnation of those qualities of Lord Krishna by which one rules over conditioned souls.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, for me it's a thing that's come up time and time again is I've always found it quite tricky to understand the modes in terms of what they actually are and how they manifest. Obviously the Gita gives us all of the descriptions of actions and speech and all of the, in the different modes, but I find it difficult to find a differentiation between us having a free will and a control over what we do, but then also being controlled by the modes. So yeah, I wonder if there's any, you can elaborate or talk about a little bit about that in terms of what the modes are.
There's a chapter in the 3rd canto where Lord Kapila Deva is speaking to Devahuti, and he's describing the material energy. It's a really good chapter. I could probably find it. I'd have to quickly look for it. But Lord, you okay? Yeah. And it's described that there's the manifest material nature and the unmanifest material nature, and in the unmanifest, and I always forget the name, but I think it's Pradhan. So in the unmanifest, the 3 modes are there, but they're not. They're just. It's like, I guess, an energy, and then they start to become manifest in the Mahatattva. Once the Lord glances over the material energy, then they become manifest and start to form all the varieties of life. So like bluebells are a variety of life, and the spiders we saw earlier, the bees that fly, they're all like unique forms, combinations of these modes of material nature, creating variety and variation. Of course, we often think of the modes of how they affect us and cause our actions, and what is it? 327 Prakrite Kriyamanani Guna Karmani Sarvashaha Ahankara Vimudatma Kartahamiti Manyate, that the conditioned living entity thinks he's the doer of activities, but actually all the activities are being carried out by the 3 modes of material nature. So what is the distinction? Is that I, the soul, I, the soul, am not actually doing it. The soul is simply desiring, and then everything is being carried out by the modes of material nature, according to the sanction of the super soul, which starts to become like, okay, so where, like you said, where is my free will in all of this? But we as a spirit soul have the ability to desire. And either, I've heard it explained that if we desire to align ourselves with our constitutional position as a spirit soul, free will becomes more prominent, and we actually are able to break free from the modes of material nature. Whereas if we decide to align with the material body and just try to enjoy the material energy, then we become more and more controlled by the material energy. And we may think we're enjoying, or we may think like this is happening, but actually everything is just being actually dictated by the modes. So not only is it being conducted or carried out, but it's actually being determined and dictated by the modes. But if we align ourselves with the spiritual energy, with our position as an eternal servant of Krishna, then we become free from the modes of material nature, and you can move around in the world and not be affected. The modes still are happening, but you're just not actually bewildered by it or affected by it. And
so is it the same as sort of, you know, Maya in that sense of it's our consciousness, it's how we react to things that are happening.
Yeah.
Because also talking like that, it makes me think, well, how much of it is our conditioning rather than also the modes, or perhaps
no, the modes determine
has
conditioning.
happened. Right, okay.
Because this is a specific condition. That plant is this tree, those bugs, certain humans, different human forms, being in a woman's body, a man's body, being in a child's, they're all just different.
But the experiences also that we've had throughout our life, that's a conditioning, but that's because we have been entangled in the modes, and then as soon as we start, as you said, to move towards spiritual life and devotional service, then that mesh, we're allowed, or it's conducive to us becoming unmeshed.
Because especially Bhakti eradicates karma,
right,
and the reactions of like past activities at the root.
Mhm.
So they become uprooted, so the mesh becomes much wider, and we can actually move without being
Being
so
stuck.
much imposition
Yeah.
on us. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's obviously not exactly a simple thing to understand, but the modes are. I mean, we know the picture of the modes like being the puppet
Yes.
controllers, but that's according to our past activities, according to our karma, past lives, according to our current activities. So if we're desiring to, I guess it's like the good dog, bad dog thing. If you feed the bad dog, then the bad dog is going to become stronger, and it's going to dictate and determine how you act. Whereas if you feed the good dog, then the good dog becomes stronger, and we become less prone to act in accordance with the bad dog.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like we feel like, oh well, because it's said in there, you know, like, that it's governed by they're governed by Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva.
Mhm.
It could be tempting to go, oh well, it's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It's like I'm out of control. I don't have control. I'm just having to be
Subjected to the
modes.
torment of the modes. of
Yeah.
torment.
Whereas actually, no, we do have the ability, and but we have to want it. We have to be aware of it, and yeah.
We have the free will to desire.
Yeah.
And what do we desire?
I felt there was a moment where I was getting into a bit more into Ayurveda, and I could feel the direct connection between how the body responds to the laws of nature through the laws of Ayurveda, the laws of material or matter. And that was really interesting to see how you can physically touch, almost like if I eat this happens in my body, then my reaction tends to be a little bit more like that.
Yes.
Now I'm not going to get into which one is which, because I'm going to make a confusion, but the truth that you see, I could feel very strongly how, and that's how my body would respond to a certain food.
Yes.
So, and how therefore a certain reaction will be triggered. But that happens in every aspect of your life. That's just one thing.
Every single aspect, yeah.
And that's what's so.
Time you get up, time you go to sleep, what you eat, when you eat it, how you eat it. It's like everything is. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is. It's for a moment it is overwhelming to see how surrounded you are by it. And how it's beautiful to see how you can just lift yourself out of it to a certain extent. Wow, that's the idea. Yeah, that's the idea.
It's interesting when you said how surrounded we are by it. If you think we, I, me, the soul, am completely surrounded by
I
it.
am completely covered in it.
Okay, completely covered in it. That's it's interesting because there's one devotee, he gave this talk, and he explained the word guru. And he said gu in Sanskrit can be like the material energy, like muck, like goo. In English we say it's gooey, it's like goo. And he said, and ru means one who can liberate or free. So the guru is one who liberates you from the
From
goo.
the goo. The freer of the goo. The
Something
goo buster.
So look, there's one more paragraph here. Maybe you just read that paragraph and we'll finish up. Because I think everyone has become a little...
In this verse, the word dokshaja, or dokshaj,
Yeah.
meaning beyond the perception of the material senses, is very significant. No one can perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead by mental speculation. Therefore, a person with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, since one can form only an impersonal idea of the strength of one's material senses. The Lord is known as Adokshaja, beyond the perception of the material senses. You can't understand him materially.
Yeah.
So if I sit here and study, is this tall, is this wide, is this, is this, that, I'm never going to get there, am I? I can get an idea of what his material form might be, but that doesn't mean that I understand the actual concept of God.
So how do you understand?
But based on this purpose, it's talking about the material, the mode of natures, and how you need to lift yourself out of that would be, I guess, step one. And I think the more we know about Krishna, the more we learn how to understand him and love him. So I imagine that would be step two.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
And then I guess you start acting in knowledge of those two. Understanding material nature, understanding how God's will and God's head. And then I guess act upon those principles. I'm sure there's more.
I feel like you got it, and there may be for sure different ways to explain it, but somehow the first thing I was thinking was that material senses in trying to understand something is kind of the scientific approach, and it's the what is it called, the gather knowledge and information approach and add on to it. Oh, this is that. Oh, that didn't work, so maybe that doesn't. And then it's experimental. And there's a word that's ascending knowledge. So that's faulty because we're just using our material senses. But it's described that we can know God. Like you said, we have to know who He is. But where did that come from?
Yeah.
Well, that comes from descending knowledge.
Yeah.
Means that perfect persons have already understood and they're sharing that knowledge. Now then that becomes hard to accept. Like, well, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Who's the perfect person?
Who
All
knows?
those
Who
things
truly
come
knows?
into play. But that's the idea. Then you mention, knowledge of who we are, knowledge of who God is, and then knowledge of the material energy. So Prabhupada says the definition of our definition of knowledge, the Krishna conscious definition of knowledge is what is spirit, what is matter, and who's the controller of both. So what is spirit, what is matter, and who's the controller of both? And that is the cultivation and development of knowledge, which is, we read the Bhagavatam, because what Prabhupada says here is, he said, no one can perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead by mental speculation. Therefore, a person with a poor fund of knowledge, and I love when Prabhupada says that. First time I heard that, I was like, a poor fund of knowledge. What is it? Because if you're trying to cultivate a fund, like a trust fund or some sort of fund, you don't want it to be poor, you want it to be rich. So if you have a poor fund of knowledge, the fund isn't of money, it's of knowledge. If you have a poor fund of knowledge, you can't get anywhere, So we have to have a rich fund of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like that. Anyway, it's starting to rain now. And
It is adding to the distractions of the day.
Okay, thank you all
still
very
made
much.
it.
Thank you, David. We made it to the end, my brother. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bhakti Jai.
Jai.